Food and beverage F&B refer to edible items. The food and beverage industry is going through rapid transformation, and with the latest trends and innovations in place, it is not inappropriate to say that there is no looking back for food and beverage companies. Furthermore, the demand for healthy foods and packaged food and drinks items are some of the popular food and beverage industry trends that are all set to stay for a longer period of time. Food and beverage companies that revitalize themselves with the changing market trends will be successful in their venture to top the list of customers' preference. The food and beverage sector in Malaysia is sophisticated and involves multiple industries such as the agriculture sector, F&B processing industry, F&B distribution market, retail market, and food services industry. There are three main types of processed F&B products distributed by the F&B distribution market, namely dry F&B, chilled food, and frozen food. Dry F&B processed and packaged F&B products that can be stored at room temperature. After that, chilled food that are required to be stored at refrigeration temperature to maintain their quality and microbiological safety for consumption. The refrigeration temperature generally falls in between -1 degree Celsius to 10 degrees Celsius. Finally, frozen food products that are required to be kept frozen until use in order to preserve the quality of the products. The freezing temperature generally falls at -18 degrees Celsius or below. For the main player in this distribution segment of this industry, SYSCO, US Food Service and MC Lane Company are the major companies. In the processing segment, diversification and expansion has led to the two companies being involved in many different markets. PepsiCo is a major part of the beverage, and with their Frito-Lay brand. Food processing segment. Nestle is the world's largest food conglomerate, and Kraft and its subsidiaries are very involved as well. The food and beverage industry has undergone a series of changes in the last decade due to the rapidly changing behaviors of consumers, technological advancement, and stringent regulations. Such factors have plugged in the industry with a series of obstacles. Being a consumer-driven industry, this industry is facing serious challenges with the change in the perspective of the consumers as they have become more focused on maintaining healthy lifestyles. Today, food products are judged based on not only the quality but also the nutritional value. As a result, food and beverage need to bring about significant changes in the existing manufacturing process. In enforcement of plastic ban, food and beverage companies and manufacturers are now striving towards making the food manufacturing process highly conducive to the environment by adopting numerous recycling practices. In 2020, the need for deploying green business practices right from production to packaging and supply chain management will become very important to tackle the current issues in the food and beverage industry. Most of the food and beverage companies adhere to the regulatory norms preferentially, but the consistent changes with respect to surplus production, waste disposal, quality of food, raw materials, and documentation are emerging out to be major hurdles for food and beverage manufacturers. To deal with such challenges, companies in the food and beverage industry need to improve their business operations, right from the manufacturing to the distribution processes. Another major challenge the food and beverage industry is going to face in 2020 is the challenge of improving online visibility. Today, consumers have become more tech-savvy and digitally informed, and this has raised their expectations. Unlike e-commerce companies, food and beverage companies are still lagging when it comes to analyzing their online presence. With the emergence of the new market, changing nature of consumer spending and advancing technology, it is high time for companies in the food and beverage industry to focus on marketing products online. This also can help them serve their customers better and stay ahead in the competition. With the increasing number of consumers turning vegan, the demand for meat and other products has witnessed a significant decline. This has posed a serious challenge on the food and beverage industry. Food and beverage industry manufacturers today need to maintain their reputation with regards to ethical treatment of animal concerns. As a result, companies have come up with meat-free alternatives to keep the retail and supply chain running.
Hello everyone, my name is YUGENTHIRI and my matrix number will be 280951, and I'll be presenting on the inventory management strategy, and these strategies will be very based on the company's culture. And what are they based on? So we have a few which will be either they are based on manufacturing, production or just packing. So a few of these inventory management strategies practiced by each industry, and focusing on our food and beverages, this industry is definitely more than one. That as the material that's stored is just not one type, we have three instead, which is finished goods, work in progress and raw materials. For example, in a restaurant there will be raw material that will be purchased on a weekly or daily or even monthly basis. So these purchases also have its patterns such as seasonality, customer demand and signature items, or maybe depends on the expiry date and so on. Most of the successful companies in the food and beverages industry have suggested that the forecast on the customer demand in each variable shall be done to avoid any wastage of the inventory or surplus cost. The first example will be just in time. Just in time, formerly known as the Toyota production system, which was initiated by the Toyota company in their car manufacturing system back in Japan. Well, how does this strategy works is that the order of the items or material will be placed only when the customer has placed an order. So, this will help the organization to reduce its holding costs and saves a lot of space in the warehouse, where previously when an inventory has been ordered, it has to be stored in the warehouse until it is utilized. So this method will decrease the number of the dead stocks, and this strategy does bring more benefits to the food and beverage industries, as food and beverage materials normally will have limited lifespan for each of them. So this strategy is very useful in food and beverage industry, where it will reduce the wastage and reducing the loss. This strategy also limits the organization to move in less work in progress inventory. Just-in-time method also helps the organization to avoid overbuying, and this is a benefit for the industry to practice. Next will be optimal order quantity, EOQ. This strategy brings a few advantages to the industry as well. For an example, when the order is be placed with an optimal quantity, this will help the organization to save a lot on the transportation cost and also at the ordering cost. Another advantage is that the company does not order over, stock and store it in a warehouse, which saves in the rental to be paid for the space. Next, there will be additional costs can be saved in ordering, as the organization will only order few times but with optimal quantity. Hence, this will eventually save costs on transportation and packaging as well, as I mentioned earlier. The advantage of this strategy is that we have to take into consideration a few items, which is a constant demand with certainty, no shortage, lead time is constant, and quantity which is ordered will be received all at once. And also, this is slightly expensive, where the process will require a dedicated team to work on the monitoring and the processing. Last but not least, let's look into FIFO, first in, first out, and LIFO, last in, first out. The reason why that the inventory of goods can be classified into two categories is that we have perishable and non-perishable items. Perishable items are the raw material which will be have shorter lifespan. Therefore, LIFO method will help the companies in this industry, which involves in raw material manufacturing or production, will use the item purchased earlier or those items which has the nearest expiring date to avoid spoilage and wastage. Meanwhile, LIFO, last in first out method, is recommended for non-perishable items such as canned meat, tea bags, powdered milk, cereal bars, and etc., which comparably has longer lifespan. The reason why this method is recommended is because the inventory will prevent from going bad. LIFO also helps the industry to generate more profit when the price of the items increase. Now let's look into collaboration program. A collaboration program can be benefit to the industry as well as to the whole supply chain, which involves in the logistics and transportation. Any collaboration program can be either only within the organization or the company, or it involves the involvement of other organization or company as well. Within the industry, where there's few departments involved, such as warehouse, procurement, and inventory and logistic department. It can be explained where the people involved in each department does the perfect job to maintain the level of the company or achieve the target set, such as customer satisfaction, very importantly. On the other hand, we have a collaboration with organization where the companies joint in. For an example, let's say company A might need to send the work in progress item to company B to complete the work. To produce it into finished goods due to some workspace limitation problem or factor. So this is an example where one organization collaborates to another to produce one finished goods. There are few ways to consider to improve the collaboration. A regular check shall be done on the authorities to make sure everyone in the designated position is performing the given job properly to avoid any issues, such as frequently running out of stock instead of getting the right information from the next shipment or ordering process. Here, the teamwork and taking accountability from each individual shall highlighted as a goal to achieve in certain by the whole team and not only by an individual alone, while the individual goals shall align together. One main key to maintain good communication within the team organization, especially when company holds a few warehouse or stores and manage a complex chain. Taking all the consideration, a collaboration program shall be on a smooth process without any doubt. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is ASREEN, matrix number 256655. So I will explain about 2.2 Inventory Management Control and Policy. It is a process of making sure that the available inventory in a company is enough for the manufacturing processes and also for the usage of the company. An appropriate control is needed for the company to be able to meet the customer expectation and also to make sure that they have a good financial environment. In the food and beverage F&B industry, it is a very hard and difficult challenge for them to control their inventory management. An effective inventory control can help them to reduce wastage, to improve their traceability, and also to improve their compliance. Therefore, F&B company needs to make sure that their inventory is in check by asking themselves three basic questions. The first one is what items they should have in stock. Second one, when they should place an order, and the third one, how much should they order. For the first question, since the inventory holding cost is high, they have to make sure that their inventory is at a very minimum level, and at the same time, they have to make sure that they can still operate with those minimum levels of inventory. The next question, when they should place an order. For this question, they have a three approach. The first approach is by using periodic review approach. By using periodic review approach, they can make an order at various sites through regular time interval. For example, they will only order for in every 2 weeks or every 1 month interval. The second approach, fixed quantity approach, they have to keep track of their inventory and they will only need to order when the stock reach a minimum level in their inventory. For example, a central heating plant company, they will order 25,000 liters of oil every time the oil level in their tank reach the levels of 2,500 liters. And the third approach is the supply will be directly related to the demand, which is they don't use periodic review or fixed quantity approach, and they will order the items as they think available for their inventory levels. So the last basic question is how much they should order. It's because every time an order is made, other costs will be inflicted, such as delivery cost and also administration cost. Therefore, a big and occasional order will have a lower delivery cost, but they will need a high cost to maintain their inventory holding. However, a small and constant delivery will make the delivery cost increase, but their holding cost will be decreases. Essentially, in order to reduce overall cost, company needs to balance themselves between these two extremes. They can reduce the delivery cost and they could also reduce the inventory holding cost at the same time. So company in F&B really should consider in using a few important inventory management techniques and methods. So the first one is the batch and expiry tracking method. This method is one of the most important as in F&B industry, most of the materials used are perishable such as the fresh products. Therefore, in order to avoid spoilage and to avoid the products from going bad, they have to use the first in, first out method. The older stock will get out first, then the latest stock will be released.
The next one, F&B also can use in-time method, JIT. With this method, they can reduce the inventory holding cost, and at the same time, they can reduce wastage also, and to improve the company efficiency control. As the finished product, most of them has short lifespan. Last but not least, they can also use ABC analysis. ABC analysis will optimize their stock by ranking them from the lowest to the highest level of values. By the highest level of values, so the company will not have stock outage problems, so they can serve their customers properly. For 2.2.1, inventory control dimension. Inventory control manage every activity related inside an organization. For example, inventory control can be used in measuring finished good availability and also in measuring raw materials availability in a company. Therefore, by executing a properly planned inventory control, F&B business will be able to operate smoothly in an organization that has optimized financial level, and at the same time, they will also be able to meet the customers' expectations and demands. The other areas that could make the company spend extra cost and lose their sales and also lose their customers due to their poor inventory control, decreased sales, losses of loyal customers, excess stocks, and also losing track of inventory. For 2.2.1.1, the inventory location. Inventory management is essentially a practice that prioritizes the location of the materials and inventory. Therefore, it is very important for every company, not only in F&B industries, to be aware of this. Location is very crucial, and the location can be divided into few aspects, such as the first one, on-site location. On-site location including headquarters and also warehouses. For the off-site location, it can be a contracted warehouse or other contracted distribution centers. For example, Nestle, as one of the biggest company in F&B, they have a headquarters in Switzerland, but other than that, they also have an off-site location, such as base in Switzerland itself, in Panama, and also in Malaysia. That's all from me. I will pass to my friend to continue explaining about inventory location. Thank you.
Hi, my name is NURZUSYAZANA ZUNNUR, metric number 256721. I will continue explain about the inventory location. Inventory location also could be determined by a few levels in hierarchy. The first one is by setting up the inventory groups. Example of inventory location group is a geographical area. This type of inventory location usually cover the whole geographical area, such as Pasir Gudang area. Inventory location could be determined by setting up primary location. A primary location could be defined as the primary record for a place where inventory is stored and distributed. The third inventory location could be determined by setting up inventory storage area. Inventory storage area could be placed inside a certain space or storeroom in order to make it more organized. I will continue with the next point, which is sourcing policy. Sourcing policy is actually a technique to look for available stock, while sourcing in F&B industry usually require a wide number of suppliers. A good sourcing team is required in order to obtain a good sourcing process in inventory. Nestle and Unilever is one of the example F&B companies that have a good reputation in their sourcing processes. Both companies will discuss further in the report. The last point I want to discuss is about the information relay dimension in F&B industry. In today's world, many growing companies are graduating with traditional capabilities to an innovative inventory management. Due to the complexity of technology that ensuring data and information transmitted through overall F&B industry. It supports identify hazard in foodstuff, include power-up tracking, reporting effort, increasing data and traceability to each and every component of F&B production system. Inventory of data and information is formalized technique for assessing the all documents and non-record material of the organization that produces, utilizes, and gather information where it is processed by user. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Muhammad Arif, Fahmi bin YUSOF and my metric number is 264157. Now I will continue with demand visibility, access to information and IT configurations. Let's begin with talking about demand visibility and F&B industry. F&B businesses must create a solid base of scalable supply chain operations managed by competent and skilled people and allowed by automated and agile structures in order to thrive in today's hyper-competitive environment. Companies need to gain insight to their network of consumers, vendors, and logistic providers to collectively sense and better respond to shifts in supply and demand. First, consensus demand planning. The value of a repeatable and precise forecasting method is understood by most businesses. Accurate predictions help to reduce inventory, improve productivity of output, streamline buying, manage delivery, and maintain faith in company estimate. Second, advanced inventory management. One of the most noticeable supply chain costs is inventory, which is a line under current assets on the balance sheet. The volume of stock needed is a byproduct of the level of customer service, the nature of the supply chain, the consistency of the product, and the willingness of businesses to forecast demand and deliver the product in a timely manner. Basic inventory strategies that do not recognize the specific heterogeneity in production, customer service priorities, variability of lead times, and lead time of each mix of product or location can result in misaligned inventory positions. Third, time-phase replenishment planning. Using production and inventory forecasting output, replenishment planning offers potential awareness to consumer needs, product and material requirements, and the steps required to address market demand effectively by manufacturer and manufacturing. Increasingly, F&B suppliers are being asked to handle inventory at consumer location or maintain a short replenishment time. The impact of product expenditure, service levels, and new orders and obligations can be readily considered. You can obtain multi-level visibility into demand and inventory by using distribution resource planning. 4. Demand-driven manufacturing planning. Manufacturing operations function somewhat differently from the remainder of the supply chain of some food and beverage industry. F&B processing plants tend to be very capital intensive, and the primary purpose is always to optimize the output of these costly commodities. 5th, supply chain master data management. You may find that the enterprise resource planning and associated enterprise businesses tools do not have the scope and depth on data resources required to support advanced supply chain planning and optimization as the F&B industry continues to expand in speed and complexity. In order to get supply chain planning and implementation process, a supply chain infrastructure master data management approach should ensure stable, high-quality data, including data coming from internal source, is available. 6. Sales and operations planning. While production planning helps a business manage supply and demand in a short term, planning of revenue and operations focus on aligning and managing supply and demand over the tactical time period while maintaining the accomplishment of business financial targets. Sales and operation planning will turn various sales, engineering, banking, marketing, transporting, and acquisitions knowledge into one efficient analytical and decision-making core resource. In the last 20 years, much has changed in the food and beverage business. To achieve success, however, F&B enterprise do need to have a solid base of supply chain capabilities. These fixed supply chain capabilities mentioned above lay the groundwork for more complex supply chain capabilities. Now, let's talking about access to information. Access information is one of the most significant practices that organization needs to participate in is ensuring product safety. The first step here is to ensure that all the procedures and product use have been documented consistently. In maintaining all product related information up to date, data processing is helpful. In United States of America's Food Administration data requirement committee assesses, establish, retains and adopt regulatory data standard to ensure that a common protocol for recording and handling data pertaining to the production, manufacturing, transport and selling of items is adopted. Using a corporate level data collection system can help administrators stay compliant. Last but not least, IT configuration. What's come to mind as you think about the problems your business faces today? Perhaps it is important to adapt rapidly to evolving markets and to desires of more connected, vocal or educate customers than ever before. Maybe it's the struggle to compete with the ever-growing list of rivals. If the company is tackling all or any of these problems, one thing is for sure, this is not yesterday's food and beverage industry. The constant adjustment in quality and performance is crucial to solving this dynamic, customer-driven and quickly evolving climate. The opportunity to access appropriate real-time and role-based data will help allow more educated decision-making at all levels and generate almost infinite process improvement opportunities. Highly versatile and more responsive processes can be helped by development in machinery, control system and information system. When it's come to handling the workforce today and in the future, it will deliver strong benefits and perspective. In short, in a constantly evolving market environment, smart manufacturing is the secret to keep ahead.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is NURHAFIZAH binti NORDIN. My metric number is 264602. So let's go to my part. Decision making relate dimension food and beverage. We have 6 decision making relate to dimension of food and beverage. First is identifying problem. To solve a problem, firstly need to determine what the problem actually is. It might know but need to check it out. Sometimes it is easy to focus on symptoms, not the causes. Using a rational approach to identify what the problem is. Second is identifying reason. Suggestive selling, menu problem including price, errors in procedures for calculating, customer check, average and server tab. The third is determining a number of solutions. Customer shopper did not respond to suggestive selling. Menu recently redesigned, customer count are up slightly. An auditor has found no bookkeeping problem suggesting error or employee theft. The fourth is selecting the best solution. Implement a suggestive selling program. It may seem obvious what to do to address the problem. Sometimes there is true, but most time it is important to identify possible alternatives. This is where the creative side of problem solving really comes in. Brainstorming with a group can be an excellent tool for identifying potential alternatives. The fifth is applying the solution. Once you have made a decision, it must be implemented. With major decision, this may involve detailed planning to ensure that all parts of the operation are informed of their part in the change. The sixth is evaluating the solution. Whenever you have implemented a decision, you need to evaluate the result. The outcomes may give valuable advice about the decision-making process, the appropriateness of the choice, and the implementation process itself. The next point is replenishment monitoring and ordering. A solid inventory replenishment strategy is vital to business as it can help teams avoid costly supply chain issues such as out of stock or overstock. Firstly, need to utilize a POS system and take inventory by hand. A POS system offers many benefits including data forecasting, order planning report, integrated account, and customer-based automated inventory monitoring. The second is have the same staff members. Track inventory, specify certain people like the managers and the chef to take your inventory. This enables the recognition of the incoherence. The third is maintain a consistent schedule. You can understand exactly how many of your ingredients and material are used in a given time span following a timetable. The fourth is follow the first in, first out FIFO method. Use the product purchased first in order to reduce food spoilage by arranging your areas. For example, cooler, dry shop, freezer, and rack according to FIFO. The fifth is create a sheet for food waste. This helps you to build missing ingredient solution. When your sheet reveal, for example, that you can buy fewer or find ways to use the ingredient for large amount of food spoils. The seventh is utilize surplus ingredient to minimize food waste. If you see that there is a lot to do with ingredients that are going to go bad in the near future, put them into your current dishes and let your guests know about any menu changes. This means that you do not lose out on potential sales and do not waste food. The eighth is use the past inventory insight for future orders. You can make informed decision by examining which ingredients were over or underused in according with your inventory for design term. The next point is control limit. Control of food and beverage is an important process which monitor the movement of food and drink products from their time of purchase to their time of consumption by guests. It is the management method by which the whole activity of the food and drink operation is measured and evaluated. The control flow is from purchasing to receiving, to storing, to issuing, to preparing, to presenting, to serving, and the last is to consuming. The next is replenishment and shipment decision. Well-managed store replenishment is central to the balance between risk of depletion of stockout sales margin and the risk of excess or downsize already eating small margin. Even though there is a decade of familiarity with fresh produce in conventional supermarket, many still have little to do with it. Their supply chains are sufficiently reactive to support frequent deliveries, but their refill planning is not up to speed. The replenishment can follow waste and revenue balancing, switch to kitchen stores, replenishment of high frequency, and the last one is add science to food and beverage management. Why the shipment decision of food and beverage? First is be a partner with your supplier to develop an action plan to determine the most economic and efficient way of shipping and unloading your cargoes, and create a plan that benefits both parties with their supplier. For a percentage of goods, no current limit should be controlled by the vendor versus customer. The second is make a strong connection with your supplier. To reduce cost of freight transport and unloading, consolidate incoming shipment to full load whenever possible. Reducing the number of LTL shipment will reduce freight costs, significantly increase your distribution center efficiency, and reduce discharge costs substantially.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is HAZWANI 255257, and I will explain about the pros and cons of inventory management practice in food and beverage industry. First one is record the food waste. The system used in F&B will keep track of goods and inventory. It makes it easy to target or determine the poor area and loss. And also they will have to monitor inventory to avoid spoilage ingredient, overstocking or stock out. Second one is keep business consistency. They will have to monitor the supply chain and outstanding quality control. Next one is keep the price stable. Food and beverage need to ensure foods remain fresh and produce high turnover inventory. So for the perishable goods that easily deteriorate, they need to ensure that they have to buy only in certain amount that can be used immediately or in the future event. And this practice help to ensure the full utilize of materials in inventory and help to reduce the running costs. Next one is enhance production competency and competitiveness. Just-in-time system will focus more on preventing overproduction. So they will produce exact amount at exact time that customer needs. Okay, for the cons, is first one is overstocking. 60% of food and beverage producers agree that they cannot predict accurate short-term and long-term demand. This is why the food and beverage will face overstock and understock risk. If inventory overstock, it will cause low cash flow, obsolescence, spoilage, and low product quality. Next one is disruption in supply chain. Production will be halted by supplier who is not unexpectedly unable to meet the purchasing order or interruption during the deliveries. When this happens, customer will complain or dissatisfied with our product. Next one is an inaccurate demand forecast. Market condition will change from time to time, so this will affect the customer demand, and it makes it difficult for food and beverage industry to predict the accurate demand. Next one is high cost. Since food and beverage, they are very complex to manage, they need to handle the non-perishable and perishable goods. Hence, to handle this, they need to invest more in order to properly handle the inventory. I will explain about the recommendation. First is they can use the inventory management software to assist in inventory management practice. The cloud-based inventory management system, they will help to optimize the food safety, reduce food health risk, and monitor or track the food. And then use the inventory system that can interact and provide the real-time access to product information with the supply chain member. So no problems such as shipment or overstock will occur. The system will offer visibility and help to track the product. Next one is to have an accurate and balanced inventory. The manufacturer need to find the best practice to manage the inventory. They need to find management system that can track the history of items sold and can assist in predicting the future demand. And the system can decide the level of appropriate inventory to algorithm and compile a set of data. Next is use the inventory tracking software. Product usually they will label with the barcode and RFID technology. So with this they can use the scan and to track and trace the food and beverage product in the house. And also they will report the frequency of delivery, vendor minimum order, warehouse storage space, product value to the food and beverage company. At the same time, they will satisfy the customer needs. Okay, next is quality management control. Quality control help to identify whether the item received in the right condition, which means no damage or leak, and the right product and the right quantity, which means product received are same as stated in descriptions. Lastly is the inventory need to set the limit of storage. In food and beverage inventory management, controlling the storage, especially for perishable materials, is important. The limit of storage will help to retain the stock fresh and in a usable condition, determine the maximum and minimum storage level need, and storage also include maintaining the warehouse tidy and safe. Okay, for the conclusions, inventory management practice is vital not only for food and beverage industry but for the other industry. Inventory management plays a significant role in boosting the bottom line of the company, and also they need to be handled professionally and cautiously, because if not handled it properly, they will be time consuming, and also business owner need to consider a few things such as inventory flow, demand of product, before they decide which one is the best practice for their company. A suitable inventory management practice will help to reduce costs, satisfy customers' needs, keep the inventory organized and productive, reduce time, and maintain the inventory of at the optimal level. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.